Hello friends, hey David here. You know, what I want to talk about today is medical marijuana. Now, being a newbie to the medical marijuana world, I was really confused, didn't understand the process. It took me quite a while, maybe a couple weeks, to really start figuring out how you get a card, why your regular doctor doesn't do it, why this doctor has to do it. I talked to my medical specialist about it. They recommend it. There's no guarantees that they would tell me that it's going to work or make anything better. But part of the logic behind me going on medical marijuana was in hopes that it may reduce some of the harder drugs or the drugs that are bad for the kidneys that I could get off of. And so I'm like, okay, hey, I'm willing to give it a shot. So I thought that was great. But then came the process of, how do I get it? Where do I buy it at? What do I buy? How much do I buy? And I knew none of that. And so here's kind of my journey through this process. As a newbie to medical marijuana, I'm going to just share with you what I had to do to figure out how to actually wind up getting medical gummies. So as somebody who's new to the medical marijuana field and knew nothing about it, well, I of course go to the internet. And one of my favorite medical websites is WebMD. I trust them, been using them for years. And I came here and said, well, let me figure out what they say about it. You know, my doctors are telling me to give it a try. So let me get a third opinion here and see what's going on. So the real question I had is there a difference between medical marijuana and just marijuana? And really there's not. You know, it says here, what is medical marijuana? Medical marijuana uses the marijuana plant or chemicals in it to treat disease or conditions. It's the same product as recreational marijuana, but it's taken for medical purposes. So, now, and I'm still learning about THC and CBD oil. Now, if you guys have good websites or links or information about this and dosages and all this, what you should take for what condition and how it may help things, I'd love to see it or hear about it because I'm still learning. Now, so those are our two main chemical properties, THC and CBD. All right. So as you guys can see, you can go through here on your own and research about what it's used for, some of the things they're trying it for, how does it help right here. You know, it reduces anxiety, it may help with cancer, relax tight muscles. Can it be used for seizure disorders? Has the FDA approved it? How long does it take? Different side effects in ways that you use it. So I would encourage you guys just to go through here and see. They have a list of every state that allows it. If you would, please like, subscribe, share, and hit that thumbs up and alert bell. And leave us a comment. We really like hearing from you guys. So after I got a little bit of knowledge on what is medical marijuana, then I needed to ask myself, well, how do I get it and where do I get it? So here we have how to qualify for an Arkansas medical marijuana card. Before visiting a marijuana dispensary in Arkansas, you must fulfill the following qualifications. You got to be 18 or older. You have to have a current diagnosis of qualifying conditions, hold an official written certificate from a physician. So you got to get a written documentation from a physician. Be an Arkansas resident. Driver's license works well for that. Arkansas prevents members of the National Guard and United States military from attaining a registry ID card. That's kind of sucks. So here are some of the qualifying conditions here in the state of Arkansas. Cancer, glaucoma, AIDS, HIV, Hep C, PTSD, Crohn's, fibromyalgia, Alzheimer's, just a huge list of things that make it easily easy to qualify to get a medical marijuana card. Extremely, extremely easy to qualify for one. I knew enough from watching the news that I was going to have to get a government-issued medical marijuana card here in the state of Arkansas. But what I didn't know was, do I go to a doctor first? And who do I make an appointment? What doctor? So I was really confused about some of that. It took me a little bit of time to start figuring out. Or do I go to the government website and apply for a medical marijuana card? And then do I get assigned a doctor? So I really didn't know how things worked at all. But how they did work is like this. Simply, I went to the medical marijuana program website for the state of Arkansas, which ends in .gov. Remember, any government official websites end in .gov, not .com. So I went on here and looked at the forms right up here so that I could familiar myself with this. There's a form called a caregiver application. So I guess if you're like the spouse of somebody, helping somebody, the change request, and the patient application, and the physician written certification forms. So I went and opened this up and downloaded it just so that I kind of understood what they were looking for. All right, so here we have the Arkansas Medical Marijuana Program Qualifying Patient Checklist. And I did this. I went through and said, do I have this? Now I have, so how do I get the physician written certification? I have a copy of my driver's license. Yes. Do I got the money? Yes. Non-refundable fee payable to the Arkansas Department of Health. Here's the website that you submit the forms to. It takes a couple weeks, and it did. It took a good couple of weeks. Here's a website that you can follow up with them and their phone number. So here's where you start filling out your information. Your name, right? Email address, street address, residency if it's different, patient identifiers, basically our date of births, who we are, signature, name, caregivers, if you're adding any of that, like your spouse to it, that may be helping you. This is the physician's written certificate. This is what you get back from the doctor after you go to the doctor's visit. When you're back on the Arkansas Medical Marijuana System's homepage, you need to go up here to register. You're going to click register, and this is the very first step before you can submit and do anything. Put your name in here, your date of birth, your email, your password, all of that good stuff. Then you're going to submit it, and it's going to ask you more questions as you go on. But as you can see, until you start registering, you can't get into the system to upload anything. So you got to register first. You're going to have your login, and then you're going to follow the step-by-step process, which is really simple, and you're going to upload the documents like the copy of your driver's license and the physician's form when it comes to you. So that's how the Arkansas website works. It works pretty easy. So now that I got the Arkansas website pretty much squared away, waiting for supporting documents, I now need to find a doctor who is a marijuana card authorized signee. So I did that, and there's a bunch of them, and I just kind of randomly picked one because they all looked the same to me, and the prices were all about the same. They really didn't seem to offer anything better than another. They really, this is probably, they didn't seem to be super difficult in getting an appointment or getting a card even. So basically I reached out to one. I went ahead and submitted the online application for an appointment. I did get a call back from like an office worker, and we had a kind of like a pre-appointment meeting where she explained to me everything that I needed, the things that I would need to share with that doctor, being a snapshot of my medical records showing that I have certain health conditions. So that was no big deal, but she's like, make sure you get that and screenshot it and upload it to your application file here at the doctor's office. So I'm like, okay. So I asked her, I said, now, where do I come in for the doctor's appointment? Like, no, it's all virtual. So there is no real doctor's appointment. And I did find, to be honest, guys, that the whole doctor side of this a little bit cheesier than maybe as professional as the Arkansas website made things out to be. It was almost like, hey, whoever you will pay will just sign your card, But anyway, so the next day when the doctor called, I think I spoke to her for about a total of 90 seconds. Told me I was approved based on my medical records. And I asked, well, how do I know how much to take, when to take it, or anything like that? Just common things you'd ask about drugs. And the real answer was basically just, we can send you over and you can pay an expert to tell you if you want. Or you can basically just trial and error it. So I'm like, oh, okay, well, thanks. So that meant I was approved, and I just basically had to wait a couple of weeks for all the forms to come in so that I could go back and submit them online to the Arkansas website, pay the money, and then in about 2 weeks, I actually got my card in the mail. So let's go over the dispensary, the place where you buy the medical marijuana. Now, one, like I've been saying, no clue how this all worked. So I did find the one the closest to me, right? I go there, they're open all day long, so hours are plentiful. I go there. The interesting thing is I didn't know how the system works. So I'm going to explain to you how this works so you don't look foolish as I did. So when you go in, there's usually an outer vestibule before you get inside the dispensary. But the one that I would do actually had three layers. So you go into a little vestibule where there's another door. Usually this one had an in and out. And there's a camera on there and a sign that says you need to present your medical marijuana card to the camera. And if you have one of those, they will buzz and let you in. All right. So, no clue about that. So I had to kind of fumble around and get my card out and go, here it is. So I go in, very nice, everybody was really nice. Go up to this big window that has 2 people in it. It's all glass, they're blocked in. Looks like it's a bank. You sign in, you give them your card. You basically tell them, hey, I'm here to buy. And then they move you off to like a waiting area. Then a couple minutes later, somebody from inside the dispensary will actually come and get you and bring you in and introduce you to your helper, your host. I can't remember, maybe they call him a bud master. I don't remember exactly what he called himself. But he was a nice guy. So, and what's really cool about this, the security is really tight. It's a very clean facility, very neat looking facility. Very modern. I thought it was actually kind of cool how they had things laid out. It was a little noisy, so you got to be prepared to hear well because it was noisy. It's like a concrete slab in a big metal building. So just be aware of that. Mine was really noisy. So I went up to the guy and I'm like, okay, well, first time I've ever, here's my situation. And he asked a couple questions. And I told him, I said, no, I'm not looking to sleep. I'm looking for, anti-inflammatory type of situation. So he recommended, and here, I'll show you, these mango cannabis-infused gummies. So there's 20 of these in a pouch. Each pouch costs $25.95 before tax. And you have to pay in cash. Because since it is still illegally federally, they can't collect, do anything but take cash. So that's kind of interesting or neat. They do have an ATM machine right inside that you can go and get your cash out if you need more cash. All right, so here's one of the interesting thing is, because you got to pay in cash, right, because of the federal situation. So around here, you still got to pay, the state gets their cut, 6.5%. So that must be their big motivation, right, to to get it passed. Your city got 2%. Let's see, our county got 1%. So, and there's also a MMJ exercise of 4%. That's probably some kind of excise tax that goes to the state. So they're definitely getting their piece of the pie, so to speak. Now, one thing the gentleman told me that I needed to be aware of being new to this was you're only allowed a certain amount of marijuana for every month, if I remember right. So it's like 70 grams a month. And what he was talking to me about was, and I didn't quite get it all, so don't, was the rule that each state, and ours has a rule about the maximum level of marijuana bud that you can purchase in a short period of time. He said that edibles and ointments and things like that hardly ever even come close to reaching that number. But I guess what the state is trying to get to happen is not for you to go there, buy a bunch of marijuana bud, then take it and sell it to your friends and come back and buy more and more. So they're regulating how much bud you can buy. But edibles, really not that big of a deal. So now, and I bought, so these are vegan, is what they say. They taste really bad. This one is key lime and the other one is mango. 20 per pack. They have the THC level in them is 5.02 milligrams, and that's the lowest level there is, they tell me. This one has no CBD in it. I was talking to the gentleman, and the gentleman told me that the CBD would really help if I needed to sleep or my PTSD was flaring up. But being new to this, I thought, well, why don't I just go straight with the THC and see if that helps, the inflammatory and the pain in the body, and see if we can't wean off the harsh drugs that are affecting the kidneys. So that's what we've done. Now, I've been using these for about 2 weeks. One a day. I can't tell any difference. I don't know if it's too low of a dose. They don't seem to hurt me. I've quit taking the anti-inflammatories, and taking these as a substitute. I don't really maybe feel any better or any worse. I do feel more tired. I don't know if that's related to marijuana, but if the tiredness continues for me, I might have to reevaluate because I don't like being tired. I don't like. So, look guys, this is just my first time user experience in doing this. I'm going to try to learn and study a lot more about this, of course. But if you have any thoughts or questions or comments or recommendations, man, I'd love to hear them, because I'm a firm believer that you should do everything in your power to feel better. Whether it's Western medicine, Eastern medicine, Native American medicine, I don't give a crap what it is. If it's, your faith in God, I don't care. If it's yoga, whatever works great for you, you should do. And I'm a firm believer in that. So, all right. We appreciate you, and hope we'll see you next time.